Hey folks, this is Tobin Lopez coming to you from my garage. This is one of my first attempts with the voiceover using one of the mics from the podcast. So hopefully the sound is pretty good. I'm on the left playing crab. Case is on the right playing crane. One of the things that I'm do with these videos, if you've watched the other videos, you might have noticed some dissolves. What I try to do with these videos is eliminate the dead time, the dead air, the thinking time that each player has. You know, if it's only a few seconds, I leave it in, but usually it can go longer. And so when you're watching a stream, that's fine. You're usually engaged in like, okay, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? What is he going to do? But in these videos that are posted after the fact, I figure you might know who wins, or you're just interested in seeing the good moves, but not necessarily it's not nearly as dramatic. At least that's my opinion. So when it's not nearly as dramatic, I try to eliminate the dead air time. Now, one of the interesting parts here is that I mulliganed a Crisis Breaker and a Keeper Initiate, and I get a Crisis Breaker and a Keeper Initiate. I also have an Iron Mine. So that was kind of a bummer, but the keepers come back and really help me out. Case kind of gets a hard opening with two favorable grounds, a Doji Whisperer, and a Brash Samurai. So I play the Crisis Breaker and hold fast. I bid 3, and he bids 3 as well, I think, so we're both even on honor, no honor exchange. So he's going to come in with the Brash Samurai. I think he goes for the Iron Mine first, which of course is a wonderful thing, right? You almost always go for the Iron Mine. He's going Void on Defend the Wall. And I defend with Crisis Breaker. Now, you might be asking yourself, Tobin, why are you recording in your garage? Don't you do your podcast from your basement? And you would be correct. I do my podcasts in my podcasts, and Doug and Carl come on over, and we do the podcast in the basement, and we also do it on a game cafe periodically to save Carl the drive. However, I can't smoke my cigars. I can't smoke my stogies in my basement. It would stink up the basement something fierce. So instead, I'm choosing to stink up the garage a little bit less because it's an open-air garage. So you might hear some cars going by as I record this. Maybe even kids playing. I live in suburbia. So we have a lot of kids on bikes going around. It's pretty cool because I have 2 kids. In 20 years, it might not be so cool. But right now, it's pretty awesome. So there's the duelist training. Of course, he responds with honoring the Brash Samurai. I go to 4. So we're 4-4 right now. Bonsai, of course, because he sees an opportunity to break. Bonsai is twice. I go to 8-4. Unfortunately, as is often the case, there's a mirror bonsai on the other side. So it's now 8-8. Now, I've watched this a couple times because I've restarted with commentary. I've been doing some editing on this already. And Case uses favorable ground here to leave. And I've thought about that a couple times, and I think that was a mistake. I think I would have stuck around because at least he's going to win the Void Ring, right? And pull the fade off Crisis Breaker. And there it goes. He comes home. I think he had forgotten about Defend the Wall. I think he'd forgotten that I can trigger it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he puts in Kami Unleashed. And then he triggers to remove the Fate from Crisis Breaker. A good play, I guess. I'm still not convinced that the Kamis are worthy. Yes, it's a big swing, but as Crab on defense, as keeper, I think I'd rather play an Ambusher or a Stoic Gunso. If I have 3, then a Political Rival. Right, the Kami to get that ring effect can be swingy, but it is pricey. So I pass on actions, pass on conflict there. He goes again at the wall. Now, thanks to me only playing the single Crisis Breaker, I have 4, and starting as first player, or starting as second player, I have 4 Fate. So I don't have any defenders, but I do play court games, and he gets to dishonor somebody. And of course, that's the best option. It drops him by a little bit, but it is a good option. So now he's sitting there at 4. 4 political. And then I play a Political Rival into the conflict. Covert, +3 strength when defending politically. So he's a -6 right now. Impervious to the Crane Stronghold. As he should be. The Crane don't want to exhaust their own rival, after all, who might or may not be working with the Crab. In this case, he is. So after giving things some considerable thought, Case decides he's going to move his Brash Samurai home, giving me the win on Earth, which allows me to pull the Keeper Initiate into play. Which is pretty awesome, I must say. I think I was going to play a Steward of Law, but I got the Keeper instead, so I don't have to spend that Fate. Put the Keeper in to instigate a conflict. And I've already gone military. So I haven't done anything yet. He's had his 2. This is my first and last conflict declaration if I choose to make it. And I believe I go military to be able to use the Crisis Breaker. Now, I'm recording this the weekend after they revealed the underhand of the Emperor. They announced it, and they announced multiplayer, and so we talked about that on our podcast, multiplayer and the restricted list and underhand of the Emperor. And I've seen a lot of reactions online. A lot of folks are saying that some of those cards are just hugely big. And one of the things that we didn't really talk about on the podcast, but one of the things that I think is, when Crisis Breaker first came out, people were like, oh my God, that is so powerful. And it is, but it's not broken. And I think there's a few cards in the underhand set that people are reacting to. Oh, those are so powerful. But my own opinion there is that you got to see what the environment's going to be. Right? Duty looks like a card that probably won't get played, but it may. I don't know. It might be negative play experience. I'm not sure about that one. But anyhow, and if you listen to our podcast, you know that we don't like to do card by card reviews for the most part, because if you're doing that card by card review, especially for something like Underhand of the Empire, which is coming out after the 6-in-6 elemental cycle, we won't have any clue how powerful those underhand cards are going to be within the context of the elemental cycle being out. And I say that only because I was remembering how powerful I and a lot of others thought Crisis Breaker was. And he is powerful, but you can definitely work around him. In this case didn't work around him. He was forced to block, and I activated Crisis Breaker. So he gives me honor. It's a tie on the duelist training, so no one bows. But I do win. And I gain 2 honor on the air ring. So at this point, I would have loved to keep Political Rival in play, but I didn't have a reprieve. So I figured the duelist training with Crisis Breaker was a much stronger character to keep instead of Political Rival. And I make a classic L5R error and initially put Rival in my Dynasty discard pile. And so I make a mistake there. He's got the clan roll card, Grand Clan roll card, and he's got a custom Imperial favorite card. So I took the roll card thinking it was the favor, and whew. So, but he's got a cool little favorite card with a crane. I think it's Doji Hotaru on there. And then I flop 2 Crisis Breakers, Shuichi, and a Keeper. So my Crisis Breakers and my Keepers were at the top of my deck. Oh my gosh. So here we are going into turn 2, and we each have 1 character. Now he flops Kakita Sami times 2, Savvy Politician, and an Imperial Storehouse. So I play Shuichi. He plays Kakita Asami with 1 fate, puts another fate on her, draws with Imperial Storehouse, and eventually plays Savvy Politician.
I'm going to bonsai my
So I think he goes 5, and I went 3, or maybe he goes 4 and I went 3. I can't quite remember, and we didn't say so I can't hear what I said. And he uses an old Warhammer 40k Conquest dial because he doesn't like the honor dials. So he uses that Conquest dial, and I can't quite make it out. Oh, man, not on camera.
We'll go with the skirmisher.
Oh, nice.
No fate. So both these have.
Hey, you're first.
He only gets
It was
there is
So I play the Skirmisher. in, who has covert. He tries to honor Savvy Politician, and I censure it, which is a huge play. Because now he doesn't have... He not only doesn't have honored characters, but his characters aren't nearly as strong as he had planned them to be. And I think that's the biggest hit he took there. Because Brash Samurai can honor on his own, so that's not a big deal. Now, I do have 2 covert characters. So that's what I do. I go military covert on something that isn't Meditations of the Tao. Coverting Brash Samurai. And I think I go Kakita Sami here as well. And it's public forum. Yay! Now, one of the things that I run Defend the Wall instead of public forum. I run Pilgrimage instead of Shameful Display. And if I think I'm going to be farmed for the... if I think there's going to be the player might farm me, if it's Phoenix, Crane, maybe even... Well, no, Unicorn, Dragon, and Lion all want to go for a break. If it's Crab. So I won't go Rally. I'll put Rally on my Stronghold if I think there's going to be some farming. If there's not going to be any farming, then I'll put Pilgrimage on my Stronghold. And that Pilgrimage often gives me at least one more turn, if not two more rounds. Like not only one more round, but two more rounds, because they can't quite break. That 8 strength Pilgrimage when it's on the Stronghold is a tough thing to get. It's possible, of course, but it's tough. So, unfortunately here, I forgot to trigger Shuichi for the fate gain. Or no, I didn't. There's no holding in play, so I couldn't. That's a bummer. So he goes water, political. I did, quote-unquote, break public forum. He puts an honor token on it to indicate that it's been broken once. So I defend with Crisis Breaker and the Favor, and I put an Ornate Fan on the Crisis Breaker. Because, even breakers need to look pretty. Need to carry the nice stuff. So he plays Court Games, honors his Savvy Politician, which has the effect of returning Brass Samurai to Ordinary and honoring the Savvy Politician.
So now it's 3-6.
That's kind of the way
You can choose to stand there. I'd be fine with that.
I could.
You could just choose to sit there.
Or not, that's Brash Samurai. What am I talking about? Kakita Sami. So now it's 6-4. And I go ahead and duel Asami.
It's 3-1. Yes, military duel.
And the duel results in Asami being bowed. Woohoo! Who knew? Who knew? Who could have foreseen that, huh?
I will sacrifice my Kami Unleashed.
So he plays a Kami Unleashed. Again, I'm still not sure the Kamis are worth it. 2 fate to trigger that ring. I just don't know.
I will.
Kami's coming loaded.
I will disarm.
He triggers the Kami to bow the Crisis Breaker. Now, he only has 3, maybe 4 political there. I think it's 3 with the Savvy Politician. And I have 1, so he's not going to break.
So at this point, I can straighten her with the water, but she just bow again.
Correct.
I'll do that.
So he goes ahead and readies the Kakira Asami, but then she bows as a result of conflict resolution.
Play Steward of Law. One, no fate.
And I play Steward of Law. Now, one of the things that I do, I maximize the conflict characters. I have 3 stewards, 3 political rivals, 3 skirmishers, or 2 skirmishers and 2 ambushers, I think. So I have all 10 slots filled. I'm taking back my declaration here because I thought it was going to be military and I would be able to break, but then it has to be political. And then I realized I have the political favor, so even if he bows me, I will still have 1. So he can defend with Brash Samurai, but then he's out of luck. And I think I still win because Brash has been honored already this turn.
That's handy. Okay.
But my memory may be failing me there. So here we are. I'm waiting for him to see if he's going to block with the Brash Samurai. He doesn't.
Trigger Earth. Drawing a card and discarding a card at random. That one.
I'll pass.
And I will trigger here.
But I do claim the Earth Ring. So then, of course, I trigger the keeper that was on my province and the keeper that was in my discard pile. For those of you who play the keeper clans, the keeper role clans, you'll sympathize with that board becoming very large. Those, if you have 2 or 3 keepers coming out regularly, your board fills up pretty quick. And it's a great feeling, even though they are 1/1s, having those keepers out for the glory to get, if you happen to do like I did here and get 2 of them, that's 4 glories sitting straight in addition to having a ring. So that's hard to beat. And it's a good counter to the Imperial Palace that a lot of people run.
I'll pass my conflict.
So he passes his conflict. He realizes that because the Crisis Breaker hasn't been activated yet, he's not going to win. I play a reprieve on previously mentioned Crisis Breaker. Now, some of these characters are going to fade out here. The Skirmisher, the Steward, but Shiuchi, Crisis Breaker, and the 2 keepers obviously stay. I go from 2 to 9, I believe. Yeah, I have 2 fate there. So I'll go to 9. He has 7. And he'll be first player.
4, 'cause that didn't-
And I maintain favor, which is, it felt like an add-on in the core set, but it's becoming just that much more important for that +1. And I used if I hadn't had the favor that turn, I don't have those keepers, right? He bows the Steward of Law if I don't have an Ornate Fan, which I didn't think I do. I don't think I did at the time. So that's huge. That favor can really just turn a game. And turns on Censure, which is I used to deny him a Way of Crane. So my Crisis Breaker from the previous turn is still there. Intimidating Hida is now up with a Funeral Pyre and an Iron Mine. He gets a Doji Challenger, an Artisan, and a Brash Samurai, along with Imperial Palace. I love the Doji Challenger when I have it under my control and I'm first player. I don't necessarily like it when they have it under their control and they're first player. And as far as that goes, Intimidating Hida is okay. I have it in this sacrifice deck. This is a sacrifice deck of mine from Crab. So Funeral Pyre, obviously. The Wily Trader is in here instead of Casada. Yes, I'm not playing Casada. I'm playing with the Wily Trader. The Intimidating Hida is in here really as the last, probably the 39th and 40th card in the Dynasty deck, because there are going to be times where between Assassination, Ways of Crab, and Hida Moro and other things, they might not have not have the opportunity to declare a conflict, in which case they would lose an honor, right? But he's not my go-to character. He's a solid. I wouldn't even say quite solid. I'd say he's an okay character. He has 6 cards. I have 2. I think I go up. I outbid him by 1.
That is a pretty sheet. Because you aren't as common.
He goes with 3. I go with 4, I think.
All right. That was good. That's good. That's appreciated. All right. Something with 4. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Conflict? Or draw phase, self-pass?
I cannot, while I'm doing this audio recording, the image on the screen is about half the size of the screen, so I can't quite make out the number on my dial. And he uses the old Conquest ones, as I mentioned before, so his is a lot harder to make out. And we didn't say what we bid that turn. I need to make a habit of doing that, especially when on tape.
Yeah.
Political.
For attack.
Okay, he goes ahead and clears. Looking like Void Political on the Iron Mind,
Is she still here?
which is Meditations on the Tao.
Remember last time I turned one up and I sacked it?
Yes, I was like, wait a second.
Okay. I'll go ahead and defend him.
So he's coming political 5. I know he's going to activate the Challenger, so I just want to block with 1. And I know that I can use the Challenger, the Breaker. So, and I know I can use the Breaker to go in on offense as well. That's my strategy here. Now he's seen an Iron Mind, so he knows what restricted list card I'm playing. I have not seen his restricted card. I don't know if it's policy debate. It's either in Crane, two modes of thought, charge or policy debate. I run charge in my Crane because I'm that kind of person. I don't like policy debate.
So I'll take one off.
So I haven't seen what he has. I triggered Meditations to take a fade off the Challenger. He takes an honor from me with Kikita Asami.
Let's go with Kikita-san.
And then Crisis Breaker, he loves his Asami duels. He loves getting into it with Asami. Come on, Asami, let's duel.
Yeah, I'll keep her defense. Okay. First section will be Battle Talisman. Alright, so that was your first section, right? It was my first section.
So I bid 2, I think he bid 1, so I give him an honor.
You're going to play policy.
And I bid 2 more or less to make sure that either he's bowing or there's a tie.
The card you chose from your restricted.
He pulls in Shuichi with the Challenger, which is unfortunate, but understandable. No one likes to see covert. I do gain a fate because there's a holding in play. He plays for shame.
So I bow or dishonor.
Yes. Okay.
And I know what it's like to have a dishonored Shuichi, so I bow him.
And you're at 3 still, right?
And I'm winning at this point, right? He's at 3, I'm at 4 because of the favor. So we both pass. And I take the void.
Dishonor on bow. Unless you want to cancel.
Okay. No free conflict.
Military.
Alright, your action. I'll pass on my second conflict.
Alright, I will choose my.
So I'm going military with the newer Crisis
I'm
Breaker.
gonna declare it here. I'm gonna do my reaction.
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
Seven and that again.
At Public Forum Earth. Now here's my strategy. I funeral pyre one of the keepers. If I think once I know I'm gonna win this, once I'm confident I'm gonna win this, I will sack one of the keepers to the pyre
Defense declared.
to draw a card, and then I will trigger the Earth Ring to bring the keeper out, and therefore gaining a card and putting a fate on a keeper. It's even more fun to use when the keeper's been exhausted because he was defending or some such thing. But he upsets the apple cart and he plays Display of Power. So there's his splash. That's the first I've seen of his splash.
Dishonor first. It breaks.
That we,
Forge Edict.
I'll
Yeah,
try
I thought about
to.
dishonor if I like more to you now, but.
Alright, so I did one in favor.
Oh, okay, so it's not an action.
Now I had not foreseen that. I did not. I had no idea what he was running as his splash, and he gets a Stoic Gunso out of my hand, which wasn't a bad pull. There were other cards in his hand I was more afraid of him, or other cards in my hand I was more afraid of him pulling. But he got the Gunso. I was pretty good. I was in a pretty good military spot, so I didn't necessarily need to think the Gunso was a great loss. The Display of Power did get me. Like, what? Huh? Okay.
Military coming and able to let the That's right.
And you always have to suspect the Display of Power coming when they have 2 fate and they don't defend, right?
I will
At least you're not getting your
Especially if they're capable of defending.
fate promote you. Okay.
Sure, this is good there.
But now he's going military fire on the pyre, which I've already used.
Dishonor a Forge Edict.
keeper to block.
And I think this is Manicured Garden.
I already did what?
Yeah, keeper to block.
So now I have the favor set to military. The card you can't quite see, but there's a very small icon on the bottom that says military political, even though it looks always political because of the blue of Hotaru.
Okay. So,
First action, I'll trigger this crisis breaker to come in.
I'll pass.
No, it's not.
And it should
It's not
be- it should
political.
just go.
It's
Okay.
military, so it's not.
Pass as well.
I'll honor up.
Oh well, I guess I was wrong. I don't have the favor, military favor. I had political favor, so I move that card out of the way. It doesn't apply. This is what happens when I go about 2 weeks between, or 9 days between playing and recording commentary. Don't let it happen to you, kids.
Yeah, I think I'm going to Forge Edict.
Not taking. Okay.
Sorry.
So he triggers air.
No, wait. Would you?
Okay.
Alright.
That's a good card. Put you above question.
Water and fire remain.
Fan on the intimidating Eden.
Okay.
Yes, he wants to look.
Yes, and a fan on the Hida.
He wants to hide his beauty behind the fan.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense.
It does. Yeah.
That was annoying. You wasn't.
I just when I saw it, I was like, oh wait,
I'm being silly.
So you're gonna have 5 glory.
I will use her. Does it draw a phase action?
I'm gonna have
Okay.
maximum
Oh, man, actually.
2 glory plus whoever I have untapped. So that's good.
Yeah, so I do the math, as you can hear. I do the math on the glory count, and I realize I'm going to lose the favor. So what is the best way for me to do this. I don't think I can break Meditations with Palace on it. That's a 6. With the Hida, I have 4, but I don't have a lot of political buffs.
Super fate.
And I would dishonor him, but, you know, it's not about.
Okay.
So he gains a fate because of its air ring. I think it's Fertile Fields.
Yeah, 4. We got 5. So, yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah, take your action.
And then
Oh, it's Manicured Garden. So he takes the action to gain the fate. I have 5 political. Hida has 5. That's true. Hida plus Faber has 5.
Fire. Which I will.
So I was thinking about dishonoring. I was thinking about honoring Shiuchi, but decided to dishonor a character on his side instead. So then, again, that makes it a little bit harder. He can obviously honor another character and turn on Voice of Honor, but having a dishonored character, at least when I'm playing Crane, having a dishonored character just feels wrong. It's an itch I have to scratch, and I need to take care of it. So I don't know if Case is the same way. Of course, he does have Brash Samurai honored, so he has Voice of Honor on. But having Kakita Asami dishonored is a big deal.
Yep.
2 swords are 9.
yeah, I met 10.
You get that back.
But you're calculating. I have 1 left on me.
I probably should have honored Shiuchi, but because at 5/5 covert, he's huge when he's honored, right? He is a huge character. So then we flop.
So I still keep the favor.
I keep my Pyre because I like to have a sack action. And there's the Wily Trader on Defend the Wall. Borderlands Fortifications, a Pyre, and a Vengeful Oathkeeper. I have 6 fate.
5 and 1 for Taka. 2, 4, 3, 4, 5.
So Taka is out.
And then I will pass.
First pass, game my fate. I'm at 2. He's at 6, I think, going into the draw phase.
And passing's good.
4, 9.
You have a stack of cards in your hand.
Yeah, right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's your what?
Yep. Pass. Alright, my first action.
He has 9 cards. I have 5. Woo! I think I go kind of high here. So I go 2. He goes 1. So I didn't go kind of high. I kind of went low.
I don't
Your
have.
draw phase.
Yeah, no draw phase action. No draw phase actions.
Is the pre-conflict part of the conflict?
It's part of the conflict phase, but not part of the conflict.
Yeah. All right, so no draw phase actions.
No, yeah, no draw phase actions for me. Oh, okay. So the conflict phase starts. All right.
So
One,
it's
two.
like right here.
Yep, that's fine.
So he plays Waning Hostilities,
Um,
which sucks because it's a great play on Case's part. For me, it sucked because here I'm looking at 6 characters. He's looking at 4. All of a sudden, my 6 characters don't look all that great. I can go in and make sure I break and also have capability to defend. But I was hoping for 2 breaks here, I have to admit.
Problem with the Mia Mystic.
let's go with.
Send a fade and get rid of this dishonor.
Don't hammer the chains too good.
no,
Yeah.
it's gonna be-
So you don't. I can swim my way as you showed you, like I feel like you're gonna do.
Oh, you already did water, you don't need man.
With your 2 on Earth political.
Go all in one break.
Again, I'm going Earth Military big. I want to
Coverting
break.
The samurai not to block. So, 5.
And I'm converting the Brash Samurai not to block, so want to really get him owning and having to defend the Imperial Palace.
So, yep, alright.
I'm coming with 2, 5,
Your matches are
2 Crisis Hida for 4, so that's 9. Crisis Breaker for 3, so that's 12.
So you're coming up with 12.
Okay.
Hastily so much bait left.
12 with possible another 15.
only if you have more.
And because this is probably going to go a few times, this is going to matter.
That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. If
Since
you have
we
more
just need
military,
to
then
go.
I can come in. But you have to have more than me.
Right, right.
Okay, yep. Your action. Or pre-con. No, pre-con. Okay, your action. Fire political. Okay.
Why the heck not?
Okay.
As much as I hate it, this one. No offense.
I'm getting fake.
So he does not defend.
Your first action. Alright, pass.
He decides that 12 military is something he just can't put up a fight. It's not worth it. Which is, you know, unfortunately a good decision.
Honor loss.
I was afraid of the display of power. I thought he was baiting me and I would lose the Earth Ring again.
Draw.
But I get to trigger.
Yeah.
Discard. Over. I went over.
Pass.
Okay.
There we are. And then we will.
Alright,
Okay,
so clean up.
so.
Oh, wait,
I think that was Cloud the Mind.
Alright. I'm gonna keep that.
Fate.
And then the 2 keepers come out. Again, wow. The keeper cycling is insane. And that's really the strength. That's one of the advantages the Scrab Sack has. Is if you can keep sacking the keepers, especially when they have no fate on them, you sack them, bring them back. As I was talking about in mid-combat, you're getting a character out, you're getting a card and possibly a fate on a character that you've used. So it's a ready effect, a fate, and a card
Go,
if you manage to win an Earth conflict.
Alright, now I want you to get nothing but holds. Okay. Me first, right? You're first. Pass.
Oh, you,
You can move people in, you get +1/+1 targeting the corn, and you can move in that.
So he declares with a void, political,
Void political with 3, 6, 7.
it's 7, yes.
and he's coming 7.
I'm gonna take on it from
And then 1 keeper.
Because Asami's dishonor.
Total of. Oh, you have political, so you have 8.
So that's no
3,
first.
so I have 6 to your 4.
Oh, right.
I'm
4,
sorry, but then you're
5,
breaking.
6.
He did have he did have his favor as military, so it doesn't apply here. So it's 7 political on his side to 8 on mine.
First action. I
Um,
will give
I'm going to
+1/+1.
take one on it.
11.
I give all 3 of them +1/+1, so I go up to
I can take it.
11, I think.
The hacking guard takes one on it, yeah. Oh, dumb.
Now the dial that I'm using, I recommend it strongly.
You're gonna take
Those
it.
of you who play games in local game stores, you will probably have access to these dials, and the store will probably throw as many of them at you as they can. They are the magic dial down. They're 20-sided dial down dice. Excuse me. So the numbers are right next to each other, right? So it's really easy to count up and count down, as opposed to a random-sided dice, which is harder to do. So I strongly recommend dial down dice from Magic the Gathering. I have a blue one. I have a red one. I think I have a white one. So if you're in a friendly local game store that has Magic, they probably have these things sitting somewhere in a bowl, as it does Total Escape. They're awesome for keeping track of the skill level in any one conflict.
Crisis Breaker will duel Brash Samurai.
Okay, so
4 to 3. Oh, 4 to 4.
So a duelist training. Crisis Breaker got to get his training in, right? He's got to keep sharp. So he duels against Brash Samurai.
Oh, you were very clever.
There.
Fire.
then I can discard cards.
And he bows. Yes, you can discard. Oh, yeah, you can discard cards. And
No.
So Crisis Breaker bows because he upbid. He discards cards. In a duelist training, you can discard cards instead of giving honor. He gives me honor.
Taking for this.
So I lost 4 there. So it was
I'm going to take an honor from him.
Alright, pass.
What I think that was, yeah, that was to get a good omen
Oh, yeah, not doing it.
triggered. I think I have 2 good omens in my hand, so I want to trigger him. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the hit on the skill level to
No actions.
all I got.
Alright.
put fate on my characters.
2 participant carries honor 1.
The void military.
Wait, you have
Sending him right
2.
now. Sending him. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna dishonor your Bayushi. I'm gonna honor my Bayushi.
Alright.
He exhausts the keeper,
Okay.
plays a kami.
No action.
That's fine. Okay, that's good game.
Now, if I hadn't have already done the duelist training
Oh, he did.
after
There
seeing
it
that
is.
fate go off,
Oh, God. Yeah, and he,
the Wily Trader, I certainly would have done it now.
That was close.
Woo!
That was.
I'm just like, please
I
don't
pat
help me
myself
go.
on the
Please don't
back
help me go.
there.
Please don't help
I'm
me
like,
go.
all right, good. I have the good omens. If he doesn't have voices of honor, then I think I'm good. Or, of course, he could have censure as well.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned like
So you go to 11.
But you
I
were more
will
honorable.
dishonor.
Yeah.
Or take 1 honor
Push
from
comes to
your
shove, I'm like, alright, and I can, let's get to the point where you're almost.
No action.
No, take
It
1
was,
honor.
and that's
Take 1 honor.
you need to
Or
calculate
take 1
your
political, I'm sorry.
something,
I don't
yeah.
know what I'm trying to say.
He assassinates
That was a good game.
Oh, no, no, no.
the Stoic Gunzo, I think. I don't know who he assassinated over there.
I feel like my nose is broken now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No action.
Maybe the Keeper Initiate because I didn't gain a fate from the Wily Trader.
Card. People are raving about that card.
So he was breaking, so I put the Borderlands Fortification over there. So now he isn't breaking.
It's a great game.
Was it close?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I have 4 weapon provinces.
Dang!
And 1 honor left? 1 honor left, yeah.
And he's going to pull the Void. I think the only fate on a character of mine is Keeper Initiate. So he's got 11. Oh, maybe I moved the Borderlands over thinking that I wanted to save the Pyre.
And of course, they would fade away, and then they come back. I'm like,
So I will use the skill
And
one more time.
yes, you can hear the game in the other, just a few feet away. He plays. I played Mountain Did Not Fall. He plays Voice of Honor, which I like to see. I think I like to see that because if I hadn't played the Mountain, he might have canceled the Good Omens. He played the Seeker Initiate in there before, so he's gonna trigger Air Ring, dishonor. Oh, he dishonors for Spies at Court. Gets a Katana and the Political Rival, and yeah, the Political Rival hurt a little bit. I wasn't gonna be playing it this turn because I only had 2 fate. But whenever he goes away, that's 1 of 3, so that's kind of a hit to me.
So we'll go.
that was actually a nice balanced game. Like, this is going back and forth.
I was
don't know.
surprised. Because halfway
We'll
through
sack
that
the
game, I'm like,
Vanguard
he's
Warrior.
gonna- I can't get momentum back. I was like, we get something.
So we're doing on him.
So Vengeful Oath, I keep saying it's Vengeful Oath Keeper. It's a Vanguard Warrior. I sack him to put a fate on
So we're still in conflict.
the Wily Trader.
Straight glory.
He's dishonored. That's why
I gain a fate from. I gain a fate as well to my pool because of the Wily Trader.
Yep. Then if you have favors, you never battles.
This crisis
Oh,
breaker
that's complex?
What?
to draw a card.
Okay.
I sack 1 Crisis Breaker to Funeral Pyre to draw a card and gain a fate with Wily Trader.
That's right, this track.
Well,
Okay.
unlimited.
The one I was
I
using.
pass
Yeah.
3 conflicts.
I will put,
Oh.
because I have 1 and you have 5.
Conflict.
Sure. I'll
Well, I
pass.
mean, you did get the pony count.
He bid. I bid 1. He bid 5. I put a good omen on Shuichi.
That I held off with like 4 guys.
I
Shuichi.
will then
The keep messing up that pronunciation.
I mean, that's everything. Like, and they're like, oh,
I'll pass.
I'm thinking this. Oh,
I should have. I mean, near the end.
but I mean, if you hadn't, what would
I
happen?
rebuild an iron mine. So yeah, that was this is a heck of an end of conflict phase for me, where I get to put fate on 2 characters and retain a character that has no fate, which would be the Crisis Breaker.
Should have just sent in illusionist on Ragazzi.
And I think the Hida will fade out.
Yeah. No,
I think that was my plan. Maybe I keep the Hida for later.
Fade off.
Takes fate. You have those fates on. So.
Yeah, well, I saw him. I got to pick my guys. Otherwise, he would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
That's around with Iron Mine.
8, 9.
Fate.
I don't think that would have been enough to
Keeps,
stop.
yep.
Crack your province.
And as I said, Crisis Breaker keeps with the Iron Mine.
11 minutes.
If I had only one guy, and you would have taken
I have 4, so
If I would have sent
We have about 11 minutes left in the round.
shit and spend a fate, I have no fate left.
I'm not nervous here. I've got 3 broken provinces. He's got 3 broken provinces, so I'm going Stronghold next. I've got a really strong approach. I'm assuming rally to the cause
No. We had 1 and 1. And you had
is
I would have, yeah.
So you
Still
took the
very
point.
well.
So
because he has the public forum was his Earth province, so I'm assuming rally is his
3
Stronghold province.
Every time
No,
You were first, but I know.
Yeah. Come on. You gonna take down my horse too?
He does keep the favorite because I had all my people exhausted
I will.
and only had 1 ring. He had 1 ring and
The card, he did
the
do
cautious
something.
scout up.
And then I was like, I'm ready for that.
No.
I'm still fighting it.
Like it's 5 arms.
I get another copy of the Wily Trader and a Borderlands Defender. I love to see the Borderlands Defender against the Scorpion and Crane, against the Courtier deck in general.
At least it's only one match of mirror.
Yes, you might dishonor her. She's only 1 glory, so she maintains a 2/2. But she doesn't move. She doesn't bow.
Having 6.
That's it. That's all. Nothing else. I've had fate worse than death played on me with that bowing the defender. And I chuckle. You just spent 4 to dishonor her and blank her, but you blanked her after all the other triggers went off.
Pass it. 3, 4, 5. And then I pass.
So I put another fate on the Wily Trader, play the defender with 2 fate, and pass.
2 cards?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So you can't quite see my honor because of the ward cast emblem up there.
Nothing for
But it's
me.
there.
Nothing for me? Yeah, nothing for me.
3 conflicts.
Just a skill, alright.
I'll name event.
Don't have a duelist.
Maybe not.
So you get 3 cards or 2? Okay. Ooh, that's a decision.
Let's go ahead and do these.
Test the skill he plays.
Makes sense.
I think he takes Voice of Honor and something else into his hand.
I'll play.
And the funny thing is, like, I let go an innate fan. Sure the hell not.
Well, no, I mean, you're saving a province.
Yeah,
that's
at the time.
No, I'm sitting pretty. I mean, I have no broken strongholds. I have no broken provinces. He's got 3.
maybe you played more
I've got
cards.
a couple turns. I just have to be cautious here because sometimes I can
I know, right?
get excited about hitting that stronghold. I think he has the Earth Ring in his hand. And there's plenty of fate on the rings because there was a waning hostilities, so there's 3 rings with fate on them. He's going Earth on Defend the Wall. Now that is Hotaru with 2 fate on her. So he's coming 6 political. So I have four political to his 6. I've got to expect that he's going to honor her. Well, actually, I think I know why he has Way of Crane in his hand. I think Way of Crane was one of the cards he got with Test of Skill. You, dear viewer, might know that better than me.
Make the honor better to see. Reaction. The top 5 cards.
Or maybe it was court games that he got. Sweet Courts, she's at 9. I'm still at a measly 4. And he went Earth, so I can't do my tricksy Earth Keeper play. I don't want to lose some cards, so I start playing a couple out of my hand. I play the Katana on Shuichi.
Oh yeah. Create your corn or 4 years. It's actually corn. It's another 17.2. Yeah.
So my action.
I go to 6. He bows the Keeper. I go back to 4. So he is definitely breaking.
That would actually make him really good.
9 to 4.
But he could be like, oh, I'm just going to bring in a warrior card.
He's of no use to me. Keepers. Psh, stupid monks. So he's going to claim and discard 2 cards out of my hand. One of which is Bonsai. That's the one that kind of hurt. I think I had a second one in my hand, but I'm not sure. I'm an old man. I forget things.
Pass.
Water, military there with those 2.
Again, I'm assuming this is going to be rally to the cause, so I want to incentivize him. I want to make it so that I'm going to break this.
Like he comes, oh, they already broke it.
So I'm coming at you with it's military, so it's 5, 8.
My first action.
But you still made me hit it twice. But yeah.
So I go to 6.
Huh?
But it's not rally. It's shameful.
At least that's cybernetic legs now.
I will let go watch commander.
Gonna lose an arm.
6 to 2. I'll gain a fate.
It's pretty good.
It's 6 to 2 right now. I'm winning, but not quite breaking. Or, yeah, I think I am breaking actually.
No.
62. So I need one more.
Once he passes, I win.
Instead, I will call in favor there.
Okay. There's one.
Yeah, I'm pretty screwed at the moment.
Oh, actually, no, that's not the case. Because shameful is 3, his stronghold is +2. So I need to get 5. I'm up 4 right now.
It's a big bad champion. She's facing the wrong direction.
Oh, man. And I think I have a bonsai. Pretty sure I have a bonsai.
Oh, that's.
And got itself 2 more.
No.
But was it enough to help him stave off the attack?
at the moment, yeah, how many cards?
5.
5. This one's gonna be political.
It's like build that bank.
I'll pass.
I'll play admit defeat.
So he passes.
I'll say no. I'll pass.
I'm trying to bait out the voices. Play admit defeat. Play a steward of law. So now I'm at 5.
Now you have to pass.
Oh, I have to bow. So now I'm at 1, 2.
I have to bow because steward of law is in play. So that sucks. So I go to 2, I think.
Still a gunso
Any pre-conflict?
and a fate.
You and your
Yeah.
shenanigans.
I'll pass.
Play a still gunso to go 2. And I put a fate on him.
I'll play Tourney unleashed.
Yeah, so now I'm at 4.
So I'm at 4 to his
I
2.
will sack him,
And then you either have to
getting a fate off.
either discard one card random or dishonor a character.
Plus 3 of those. So.
So I sack Shuichi to the gunso. He bonsais her.
You're at 7.
Time is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll go 6.
Okay. And then
Okay.
And we'd largely agreed behind or before the round started
best of
that
breaking.
we'd finish the round. This is a casual tournament again, right? Stronghold, it's casual level tournament.
That's gonna be.
Good game, man.
I use the water to,
All 4.
and then he concedes.
I had 2 crisis breakers, a funeral pyre, 2 crisis breakers.
Good game. Thanks for watching, folks.
My initial flop.
Thanks for watching. More to come. I hope you've enjoyed this commentary, even if I was a little bored, or not bored, but maybe I wasn't. Hopefully I wasn't boring.